Welcome to the Walnut Coffee Bar, Part 2. Let's get started. Well, this is where we left off of our coffee bar last time. We got the main carcass built, and we got the bead board and the crown put on the top, along with the bar top. So today, let's start by focusing on the base. The first thing we're going to do is apply some face frames along the cabinet area. We're just using glue and some brad nails. A clamp helps us hold it in place while we get everything lined up. This piece of plywood is going to act as a backer and stiffener for the horizontal piece of face frame that separates the lower cabinet area from the middle cubbyhole area. We're putting it on with some glue and pocket screws. Now, after applying a little glue, we set our horizontal face frame on top of some temporary spacers and clamp it in place. And now a few brads hold it to the backer. To attach the vertical stiles that separate the cabinet doors, we're going to use pocket screws on the back. After drilling them, we add a little carpenter's glue, and then using a spacer stick, we get them set in the right place and clamp them. Then we screw them in from the back with our pocket screws. Now let's turn our attention to making the cabinet doors themselves. We use our straightening jig to get the boards straight. Then we run them through the planer until they're down to the perfect thickness. And then we're cutting some biscuit slots in them. This will join them together. Now applying a little glue and some biscuits, we're going to clamp them and let them dry. Once they're dry, we take them out of the clamps and we cut them the length over on the miter saw. We're ripping some thin strips of walnut so that we can run them through the router and put a bead detail on them. These we'll use to picture frame the doors to add a little more detail to them. We've taken one of our strips with the bead detail and we've mitered the ends. And now with some glue and some brads, we're going to put it around the edges of the door. You can see how this detail really dresses up the door. You wouldn't be able to add this detail by routing the door itself because the corners wouldn't work out right. Now that that's done, we're going to go ahead and install our hinges so that we can temporarily hang the doors. We'll take them back off before we put the clear coat on. I've laid the coffee bar flat on its back on top of the workbench, and I've clamped a straight edge along the bottom. This will help me get all of the cabinet doors perfectly lined up. I've raised the table saw blade up pretty high, and I'm resawing this one board to make it into two thinner boards. These boards we'll use to make the tops and bottoms of our cubbyhole. And here we're doing a little pre-assembly of the cubbyhole. It's easier to build it here and then insert it as a whole unit into the void between the bar top and the top of the doors. We've taken a piece of our face frame material and put another beaded detail on it. Now we're mitering it and making a picture frame that will go around the cubbyhole. This will match the doors right below it. For the back of the cabinet, I'm just using a piece of birch plywood, but I have to stain it to look like walnut. Next, we're doing a little pre-assembly of some pieces that are going to go on top of the bar. These will be the little side wings that hold a couple of electrical plugs, allowing you to plug in your coffee pot or whatever else you need to. Now we're drilling a hole in the back corner of the bar to allow the wire to come up for the plugs. And these blocks will serve as nailing blocks so that we have something to attach our side wings to. Now we'll use a little more glue on the blocks and on the edge of the side wing, and you can see how it fits in place. And then a couple of nails into those nailing blocks. Now we're gluing and nailing another cherry board on top of the side wings to act as a shelf. And then with some spacers, we attach some cleats to the side of the cabinet. These will hold a second shelf. Now let's turn our attention to the legs of our cabinet. I've tapered these pieces slightly and then mitered them, and we'll glue and nail them together. Now with a little glue on the bottom edge of the cabinet, we're going to clamp it in place so that we can screw it on with some pocket screws. Once it's aligned, the pocket screws go on the inside. And between the glue and the screws, this makes a very sturdy attachment. But we're going to reinforce it just a little bit anyway, with a block on the inside. For the back leg, we don't have a miter. We just screw a straight piece on that's tapered slightly, and we reinforce that with a piece on the inside as well. Now for a finish, we're going to use everybody's favorite, Mrs. Polyurethane. I really do like her. And she likes me too. We'll use 3 coats of gloss polyurethane. Except for the bar top, we'll use about 5 coats there. And then the last coat on everything but the bar top will be done with a semi-gloss polyurethane to kind of take some of the shine down. And here we have the finished coffee bar. It turned out really nice. Here we see our homemade crown and beadboard. And here's one of our plugs tucked away. And here's the other plug. And here's our cubby hole with some beautiful burled walnut face frames. We see our tapered legs and our cabinet doors. Underneath, I put a shelf in. And then this is my favorite part, this cherry top with the saw marks still visible. And the sawed edge as well. Well, that turned out really nice. I love the contrast within the walnut from the sapwood to the darker pieces. I also love the cherry and how the cherry is modeled, and the fact that we left those saw marks in it really looks good, I think. I'm super pleased at how it turned out. Well, I thank you for watching, and I hope to see you next time.